I'd like to tell a story. Once before a time there was a king, and the king lived in his great kingdom, which was vast, and everything was beautiful in the kingdom. The rains came in their season, and the flowers and the wheat and the fruit, everything came in plenty for everybody. And everyone was happy, and the king was happy, and the people were happy, and the king loved the people, and the people loved the king. Now one day, the king invited all his counselors and courtiers and consultants into the great chamber, the hall of the palace. And the king told them that at the far edges of the kingdom, a war had broken out, and that it was causing tremendous damage. And he, in his wisdom, knew how to resolve the war. And he wanted a volunteer to go to the far edges of the kingdom and to deliver the message on how to resolve the war to the generals who were waiting. And everybody in the hall knew that the journey would be very long and very, very dangerous, and that they may not make it. And no one volunteered. And the king looked around, was very disappointed, and was just about to leave when a person, maybe a man, maybe a woman, put up their hand and says, "I'll go." The king was so delighted, he went up to the person, hugged him, hugged her, said, "You're so special, really, you would do this?" The person said, "Yes, for you, your majesty, I'll do it." And the king began to give the secret of how to resolve the battle, strategies and tactics, complicated. Sent the messenger out, and the messenger became a living message with the message from the king, and traveled through deserts and jungles, through many, many dangers, until after years, lifetimes, the messenger finally arrived at the edge of the kingdom, where the generals were waiting. And they saw him coming, and they ran to him and said, "Thank God you've got through now. Tell us the message so we can resolve the conflict." And the messenger looked at them very puzzled and said, "I don't remember any message." And they said, "But the king sent you with a message." And the messenger said, "Look, the king sent me with many, 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 many instructions, this, that, and the other. But I don't remember a particular message to hand over." And to the dismay of the generals, they realized that he'd forgotten that he's a message sent by the king through all this time and all this space to arrive at this particular time, to be able to give over a message on how to resolve the crisis. And so they began to observe the man and see how he spoke and the remnants of memories of what the king said, to try and reconstruct what was the message. And maybe they'll succeed, and maybe they won't succeed. And that's almost the end of the story, except for one little bit, which is, I'm sure that the king sent out other messengers, and maybe some of them fell by the way, and maybe some of them got through. Because I can say about ourselves, the Jewish people, we almost didn't make it. But we are here, and we are here now. And I sincerely believe that we have a message that we've been carrying with us through thick and thin, on pain of death, to hand over at this point of crisis. The truth is, we've forgotten what the message is. Part of my work, part of the work that we're doing in the Jewish Climate Initiative, the work that I see that people who are gathering around the ecological crisis now are doing, is to dig deep into our tradition, to discover what is the secret that we have been traveling with. But that's not the end of it, because other people have also made it through, I'm convinced. And those people, many of whom we sit together with now in these sessions in Copenhagen, are talking about their religions, their traditions and their wisdom and the messages that they're bringing. And we must bring these messages together, for as I can begin to remember parts of mine, they will help me remember mine. I will be able to help them remember theirs. And like a giant hologram, the pieces will come together until we see clearly, this is the message that the King gave to us to carry for him, for her, for the Majesty, to travel through time and space and to hand over to the world at this time of crisis. So now the question remains, what is the message?